Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity you have given me to support this bill. I rise to support this bill, and I associate myself with the comments that have been made by Senator Osoti, except to clarify that the Constitution does not prohibit the finance bill coming in this House. The Constitution only requires that the finance bill is introduced through the National Assembly. I think it's been a matter of habit that the bill does not come here. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill, but with a bit of some reservations. And my reservations are on Section 9, which reads, despite the provisions of any other law, any serious or persistent non-compliance with provisions of this Act constitutes an offense under the Public Finance Management Act. My beef is with the words, any serious or persistent non-compliance. From where I stand, I think any non-compliance with this bill should be an offense with this Act. Because then you have not defined persistent or serious, so we are creating a loophole for people to violate the Act and claim it was not serious, it was a one-off, it was not persistent. So I would request that maybe going forward, Section 9 be looked at, and any non-compliance with this bill, with this Act when it becomes law, should be an offense under the Public Finance Management Act. I say so because we are talking of money, and we know how public money has been abused in this country. And if we give those who abuse public money any wriggle room, they will wriggle out, they will abuse and wriggle out. They should have no room to wriggle out once they mess. They should be caught up, they should be tied to the issues. So I would say that Section 9 of this bill needs to be looked at. The other issue, as we talk about the Public Finance Management Act, we may want to look at that act because we are talking about money that we send to the counties. We need to be sure that that money is used in an accountable manner. The chief officers' finance in some counties have been given so much power, including in my own county of Busia, that any other chief officer is irrelevant because they control the purse. I think we should, as a Senate, make a conscious decision that every chief officer, just like the permanent secretaries, should account for their departments. They do procurement, they do everything, they come up with budget. And then, at the point of payment, they cede power to the chief officer finance. Then the chief officer finance becomes a small god. That's what's obtaining in Busia. And at the end of the day, you find that you are being told, bring 10% before your bills are paid. And then it becomes very difficult to hold these people accountable. You end up with a lot of pending bills and all that kind of thing. We would like a situation whereby every department in the county is accountable for everything that it does, including how it spends money. So we should be able to empower chief officers in county government, in every department in the county government, be able to pay for what they incur, the bills they incur. We should not cede to the chief officer of finance. Look at the national government. The principal secretary in finance is not a boss of the other principal secretaries. That model should go down in the hope of stemming or controlling corruption. As I continue to contribute, I would like to make a comment on Senator Cherargei's comments that nothing will change in the finance bill. For heaven's sake, let Parliament be autonomous. Let Parliament be able to debate and agree on issues and come up with resolutions. Parliament should not be a forum for rubber stamping what the executive wants. And so I would really pray that we do that. Finally, because I don't want to talk, I would like to, the mover to have time to respond. I want to comment on the issue of the so-called affordable housing. I would ask those people who are pushing that to distinguish affordable housing from cheap homes. What I can see people talking about is that they want to create a mechanism of creating cheap homes for homeowners. Affordable housing is about access to decent housing. Affordable housing would be something whereby the state puts up houses and controls rents. Let's assume like in Kibra. The state develops Kibra and controls the rent in Kibra, so that the people who already live in Kibra today don't have to move out to another slum because the houses have become too expensive. But the houses are decent, but the state controls the rent there so that people are not tortured through rent. Still on the question of housing, there's a question of land. We have been told that they want county governments to do what? To set aside land for affordable housing, the so-called affordable housing. To me, the way things are happening, it is a scam for transferring public land into private hands in the name of saying affordable housing. If that is required, then that proposal must come to the Senate as custodians of the county governments and counties to make a decision whether we are going to allow the counties to be stripped of public assets in the form of land. So as I support this motion, I vehemently oppose the idea that counties should be made poorer by being forced to surrender so many acres for so-called affordable housing, which will eventually turn into homes of people, even if there's no corruption, whereby the private developers get land for free, as it has happened in Pakistan, in Mombasa, where the estate was taken over by a so-called private developer that put up houses, and the people who lived in that estate now cannot afford to live there because the houses are so expensive. So I would be praying that those who are talking about housing bring it to this house where housing is devolved, and we help them distinguish between affordable housing and cheap homes. Affordable housing is not about ownership of a home. Affordable housing is about access to decent accommodation, where the state guarantees decent accommodation. So with those few remarks, I support the motion, and I thank you very much for the opportunity you have given me to comment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Mogeni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.